So how many of you guys have heard of a convertible case? If the answer is none, then join the club because I haven't either. But I just got something in the mail from a company by the name of RIOTORO, and they have something which they are calling a convertible case. Now, if you're familiar with RIOTORO, they actually make one of, or if not, the smallest ATX form factor case out there. And they sent me something called the Morpheus, which is a convertible case, which can apparently switch between a mid-tower and mini-tower case, whatever that means. So we're going to take a look at this thing, see what it's all about, put a build in it, and yeah, it looks interesting. So I'm excited to take a look at it. All right, so that actually took a while to pull everything out of the box, and as you can see, we've got a big pile of parts here. I guess we've got to put this thing together basically from scratch, or somewhere around there, but I think maybe this means we can customize the case a lot. I don't know, but I got a big pile of parts in front of me. Apparently I got to construct them, so I'm gonna have to bust out the manual and see what we can come up with. So this is pretty cool. Check this out. They actually provide an assembly mat with the case that you can build this on. That's pretty cool. It's got instructions on how to put it together. So hopefully we can just follow this in order to not have any issues. Here is the case all put together. I can't say I was a fan of that process, man. It wasn't necessarily hard, but it definitely was time consuming. I did have a little bit of trouble with the T-bracket, I guess you could call it, right in the middle there, getting it lined up on both sides of the case. But yeah, I can definitely say I prefer my cases pre-assembled. I don't want to do that again. But you can see the main compartment here, it is inverted, so that is why it is set up on the right side. You've got 220mm fans up front, which do light up red. And then there is an 80mm fan in the back, which I'm hoping is not too loud. Hopefully we can find a way to limit the noise on that. I wish there was a way to get a 120 back there, but it's just not possible with the dual chamber setup. On the back side, we've got a ton of room for cable management. You can see the kind of cable roadways, airways, whatever you want to call it there, to route your cables in with the Velcro straps already being included. I like that a lot. I'm a big fan of that. Usually with the dual chamber cases, cable management is just insanely easy because there's so much room. Even if you don't do anything, you could just throw them back there and the main compartment will look just fine. But aside from that, the power supply will mount at the bottom, and then you've got two drive cages up top, one for your 3.5-inch drives, one for your 2.5-inch drives. If we were running the build at its full size, you could actually fit an extra 2.5-inch drive cage up there, so there would be 3 drive cages total. And this is how it looks on the outside. So you've got pretty much perforated panels all the way around. So airflow's definitely not going to be an issue here unless there's some issue with dust filters, you know, blocking the air or something like that, because every panel is filtered. So you've actually got 2 dust filters down at the bottom, since you can't fit intake fans there. You've got them on both side panels. You've got a removable dust filter up top. And it's even filtered in the front, but as far as I can see, there's not a way to remove any type of filtering there. For the front I/O, we've got 2 USB 3.1 Type-C ports. Just keep in mind you'll need to have a motherboard that supports those connections. You've got USB 3.0 Type-A, your mic and headphone jacks, a reset button, an RGB controller, and then your power switch. Definitely like the forward thinking with the front I/O there. However, I'm not sure how many motherboards are going to be able to support 2 USB 3.1 connections. Now RIOTORO did send me a couple things as well with the case. We've got a power supply from them, their Onyx unit, which is 750 watts. It's an 80 plus bronze unit, semi-modular. I haven't actually used any power supplies from them in the past, so I'm curious to see how this one is going to stack up. but we are going to go ahead and throw that into this build, along with their 240mm AIO. This is the Bifrost 240, which looks like a solid unit here. It's got the braided tubing on there, which looks pretty nice. Hopefully the pump is not too loud, because I am super sensitive to noise when it comes to these water cooling units. But you do pretty much have to run something like this in this case, because there's not a ton of clearance when it comes to CPU air coolers. And it wouldn't be 2019 if we didn't have these. We've got some addressable RGB fans as well. These are the Quiet Storm fans. They are 120mm. Once again, they are addressable RGB. So hopefully we can add these in to throw some color into the build. Not sure if I'm going to use all of them because it does come with 4, but we'll figure something out. Alright, so small delay. Turns out the AIO that I have here does not come with an AM4 bracket, so I actually had to hit up RIOTORO and have them send me one here. Too bad the stock one does not actually work, but yeah, hopefully these are included in the future, because Ryzen's been out a while, man.
3 weeks later.
Bye.
Alright guys, the build is complete. Hopefully you guys can hear me over this loud ass fan back here. I hope it's not blowing into the mic or anything, but yeah man, we've got a system in here. You'll notice it looks a little bit different than it did in the clips of the actual build progress, and that is because I had to ditch the all-in-one cooler. Unfortunately, I could not get the insulation parts to work correctly with this motherboard. They sent me an AM4 backplate and some brackets, and I used the original AMD post, I guess you could call them, to hold it against the motherboard, and there was just too much wiggle room, so unfortunately I had to ditch it, man. I'm not sure what's going on there. It's like 3 generations into AM4. You would think they'd have the proper hardware, but I don't know. Maybe we'll revisit that when we play with an Intel system. So in the meantime though, I threw a scythe cooler in here. This is normally made for small form factor builds, but if you don't go too crazy with the overclocking and stress test, is just fine. So we've got that thrown up in there. And then we've got 220mm fans up front. Those are addressable RGB. Originally those were gonna go down here, but that's fine. You'll see there's a lot of room over here actually. And that is because normally you'll have a radiator taking up this area here, since there's not a lot of room CPU cooler wise or clearance wise for CPU coolers. You pretty much can only fit all-in-ones or like top flow coolers like this in here. So that's just something to keep in mind. Normally this will be more filled up, but yeah, I've got an RX 580 up here up top, being with that this is an inverted system. Plenty of room for that. I don't really know of any graphics cards where you're gonna run into an issue there. Well, I guess if you have a radiator, maybe that may be an issue, but I think pretty much you'll be able to fit whatever you want here. So as far as the actual build process in this case, it's very simple. I am a big fan of dual chamber cases just because you really don't have to try hard to make a nice looking build, at least in the main compartment, man. You really don't have to do any type of cable management at all. You can just throw your cables back there and it'll still look good up front. So I've got like kind of an organized mess, I'd like to call it, in the back. I tried a little bit and I think it looks pretty decent, but really you don't even have to, honestly. Now, as far as the overall concept of a convertible case, I actually like the idea. The fact that you can kind of adjust the case to your needs, I think kind of eliminates a lot of extra space that you sometimes get with like full tower cases or even some mid-tower cases. So I think the idea is there. Do I want to build my PC case from scratch for an extra 2 inches of clearance though? No, not really. Honestly, I don't. I think that if they kept this idea but made it more extreme, I don't even know if it's possible, but if you could go from ATX down to micro ATX, or it's probably not even possible to go all the way from ATX to mini ITX, but like it just needs to, I think like if they were to get it to work in a more extreme scenario, I think it would be worth it in that case. So you guys let me know what you think about this case down in the comments below, and if you've actually built in it before, definitely comment below. I'm curious to what you guys thought of the build process. Like this video if you guys like this type of content, subscribe if you've not already, and I will catch you guys in the next video. I'm out of here. See ya.